Section we are looking at exponent laws, the same exponent laws that we've done already before in the previous unit. We did just exponent laws, but now what we're doing is we're doing exponent laws with negative exponents. So we've done exponent laws already. The exponent laws that I'm talking about are when you multiply, you add exponents. So if I had x squared times x to the 3, you would add these exponents. Right, so you would add those exponents together. You'd go and say that this was x to the 5. 2 plus 3 is 5. And then we also had the divisions. We had x to the 6 divided by x to the 2. And you would say that you would subtract it. So this would be, you would do minus. So 6 minus the 2 would get me x to the 4. We also had the power to a power rule. So say if I had x to the 3 to the power of 4, then that means we have 4 3's. We have x to the 3, x to the 3, x to the 3 4 times. So that would mean that we would multiply. We would do this and we would multiply those exponents. So that would be power to a power rule. So x to the 12. X to the 12. So those are the exponent laws that we already know from the previous sections. So we're using the same exponent laws. That's when I said use the same exponent laws that we already know, and we're using them in order to simplify. But now look, I've got negatives in the exponent, but the same rules still apply. When you're multiplying, what you're going to do is you're going to add these exponents. Because this is multiply, so multiply means we're going to add those exponents. So if I have x to the 3 plus x to the negative 4, that's going to get me x to the 3 plus negative 4, negative 1. And we have y squared plus y to the 3, so it'll be y to the 5. So that means that we are adding the exponents when we multiply. Now we already understand what a negative exponent is. And again, I'm just going to rewrite this again. So I'm just going to say this part here is 3 plus the negative 4. You don't have to show that. Okay? And then this part here, that is the 2 plus the 3, which we already know. So when we multiply, we're adding the exponents. This is 3 plus the negative 4 for the same base. And the y's, we have 2 y's, 3 y's, so 2 plus 3 is 5. So this is the part of your brain, so this is all your brain thinking all this. You don't have to write that part, but your answer would be this. Now, we now know how to work with negative exponents better than we did before. So what I want you to do is understand that this negative here means reciprocal, right? So that's reciprocal. So I want you to write your answer without these negative exponents. I want you to rewrite this one so it's down in the denominator. It's a reciprocal, so it's going to be in the denominator, x to the 1. So that goes to the bottom. This y to the 5 is still in the numerator, so that'll be y to the 5. I do not want you to write it like this. I don't want you to write it like that. I want you to write it together. So together, okay? So we're going to write it y to the 5 over x, not separate like this. Okay? Now let's try another one. Right now, it doesn't make sense completely. It doesn't make sense completely because we are just getting used to it. Okay, but we are going to get better at it. So right now, we're just getting used to it, but we're going to get better at it. So over here, we have m to the 5, n to the 6, m to the negative 3, n squared. So what we're doing here is we're doing division. With division, so your brain, you're thinking, oh, it's division. I remember that rule. That's the minus rule. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to add a step here. You don't have to write the step, but you might like it. So it'll be m to the 5, and you're going to go minus the negative 3. You're subtracting the bottom one. This will be n to the 6, and we're doing minus the 2. So 6 minus 2 and 5 minus negative 3. So when you subtract a negative, 5 minus negative 3, that ends up being plus, right? Two negatives make a positive, so this will be m to the 8. And then here we have n, 6 minus 2 would be to the 4. Okay, and what that's saying is that, remember, the reciprocal of negative 3 actually flips up to the top, so that's why the m to the negative 3 actually goes up to the numerator. So if you remember that from last time as well. Okay, for this next one, let's try it again. This is still division, and it's also got a power to a power. So try to do the inside of the bracket first. Can I divide those? They're not the same base, so can you divide them when they're not the same base? You cannot. So here we did the m's together, n's together. Here it's a w and a z. So I cannot simplify those anymore. So they're not the same base. So the only thing that I can do is move. So for the inside I can't do anymore. So the outside, I'll do the outside. This power rule means that the top and the bottom both get that power of 2. And that means we're multiplying it. So we're multiplying it by that power of 2. So we're going to get w, negative 3 times 2 is negative 6, and this will be z, I put a slash in my z, 2, or z, 4 times 2, so that would be 8. Z to the 8, w to the negative 6. Now I already explained here, I don't want negatives in my answer. So no negatives in my answer, so I want you to clean this up. So no negative exponents in my final answer. So my very last step, so that's my last step. My last step is to clean up my answer. So here I've done all I could, and my very last step, I have nothing else to do, is to clean up my answer. If this is a negative here, that means reciprocal. So if you remember from before, that means reciprocal. So that means it should be in the denominator, not in the numerator. This is a positive, so leave it where it is. But that negative is a negative, so that means reciprocal. So you're going to write that in the denominator, w to the 6, with the z to the 8. Z to the 8 did not move, only the negative moves. And then in the top here, in the numerator, we don't write nothing. We're going to leave it as a 1. So the 1 is going to be left in the numerator. Okay, so let's try that again. So this next one here, x to the negative 3 times x to the 5. So what we're going to do here is, again, with multiplication, we're adding the exponents. So this is going to be x to the negative 3 plus 5. Negative 3 plus 5 would get me x to the 2. X to the 2. All right, and that's it. And I don't have to fix anything because there's no negatives in my answer. So that's it. Try that again. So here we have m to the 2 divided by m to the negative 5. So that division, can you subtract, please? So that would be m2 minus negative 5. Minus negative 5 makes it plus, so this would actually be m to the 7. There we go. And we're going to try that again. So we have over here, we have x to the 4 times x to the negative 7. And we're going to go times, means add it, so 4 plus negative 7. And that would be x to the negative 3. All right, so let's try that again. Oh, wait, and we can't leave our answer with a negative. So we don't want to leave our answer with a negative. So if we're not going to leave our answer with a negative, that means reciprocal. So reciprocal, so this negative means reciprocal. So that means the x needs to go in the denominator with the 3, so it's a reciprocal, and we're going to leave a 1 on the top. Okay, so let's try a couple more. I'm going to try another set here. So let's keep going. And we're going to go m to the negative 3 minus, and there's an invisible number here. The invisible number here is a 1, right? So remember, there's a 1 there, so minus the 1. So you can put it there if you're writing that step. Okay. Okay, so this next step here, we've got -3 minus, and you can put the 1 there because if you're writing that step, you can't have it invisible. So this will be m to the -4. The negative means reciprocal, so again, the reciprocal here means it's going to be 1 over m to the 4. Okay, try it again. We've got here m and n, so try to finish the bracket first, but those two are different bases, so I cannot do anything else with those two. They're different bases. So because they're different bases, I can't do anything more here, so I'm going to move to the outside. When I move to the outside, then this exponent here will go to multiply to this one and also multiply to that exponent. So both of them will be multiplied. So this is m to the -3 times -2, so 6. And this is n to the -5 times -2, so 10. And there's no negatives left, so you stop there, we're done. This is the only place where we have to keep going, because if there's a negative in my answer, I want one final step. Remember, it's my last step, is to clean it up. My last step. Okay, so try this again. Inside is x, and there's a y to the -4. There's nothing I can do there because they're not the same base, so I'm going to work on the outside part and do this. Multiplication and multiplication like that. So when I work on this one, I go x to the, there's invisible 1. 1 times -2 would be -2. Y, -4 times -2 is a +8. Only the -1 has to be flipped. That's the only one that has the reciprocal. So negative means reciprocal. So that one needs to move to the denominator with the y, not separate. So I don't want you writing this separate. So you're going to write the x in front because alphabetical order, 2, y to the 8, and in the numerator you leave the 1. I do not want you writing it like this. So I don't want this, not like this. So not separate. Does that make sense? So not like this. I want it together, both sitting under the same roof. So 1 over, and x squared goes under there, and the y to the 8. I'm going to continue this in another video, so hang on.